Welcome to our brand new podcast. It's called Fully Alive. My name is Matt, and I'll be your host. So, why start another podcast? We've got thousands of podcasts out there. Well, our desire is to be a voice of hope, a voice of new life, a voice of change. Because we really believe that when we begin to understand who we are as human beings and what makes us broken and why we are broken, then we'll be able to make the necessary changes to live the lives that our Creator intended us to be. Most of us live lives barely existing. We live, but we don't live fully alive. And we wake up every morning because our alarm clocks wake us up, or because our kids are woken us up, or because we need to go to the toilet. But we don't wake up with a sense of energy, with a sense of purpose, with a sense of making a difference, with a sense of really being inspired and motivated. And this is partly because of one reason, and that is the fact that we are fragmented. But what if I told you could change that? What if I told you that you could wake up every day excited about life? What if I told you that you could wake up every day knowing that today will be a day where you can get the most out of life? I really believe that deep within our soul is a longing, is a yearning to break free from some of the things that have constrained us, some of the things that have constricted us, some of the things that have restrained us from living the life that we know we can live, because we have been designed and created to live lives of meaning, live lives of purpose, live lives of significance. So, what is the key to all of this? And I believe there is one underlying reason. But before you do that, please click the subscribe button. Please click the like button so you all get notified of when this podcast is coming out. But I want to say that the one underlying reason is that you are fragmented as a person. So, in other words, you were created to be whole, but because of your past experiences, because of the trauma you've been through in your life, because of the environments that you grew up in, the schools you went to, and everything around society, it has caused you to be broken on the inside. You are who you are, not because of what's happened to you. You are who you are because of how you've responded to what's happened to you. So, in other words, you have developed coping mechanisms to deal with your own pain, to deal with what has happened to you. And these coping mechanisms and these mental structures that you've built inside of you have prevented you from really living the life that you know you can live. I know that a lot of us don't like talking about our past because our past is hurtful. It evokes memories of a lot of sadness and a lot of pain. But if you think about my own past, I mean, I grew up in a stable family, in a healthy family, in a good family. Both my parents were good human beings. They loved God, and they did their best for their kids. So even in the family that I grew up in, I felt like there was so much missing in terms of the connection and the intimacy I could have had with my own father, for example. He was a great dad. He protected us. He provided for us. But now that he's been gone for about 6 years, I realized that it was that connection, that intimacy that was lacking in my life that eventually prevented me from being fully developed as a human being. So before we go into some of the ways in which we are broken, I wanted to say that we live in a society that is often tired, that is often drained of energy, and that's part of the reason why we don't have this zest and this zealousness for life that we need. But part of the reason why we are tired and we are drained of all of our energy is because we are fragmented, because we are broken. And so I want to spend the rest of today's podcast just talking about some of the ways or some of the symptoms in which we are broken. So the first one is that you know that you are broken or fragmented because your loves are broken. Your loves are fragmented. So in other words, it means that your love is spread out very, very thinly. And so you dedicate some of your time to your family, some of your other time to your work, perhaps some of the time to hobbies and things that you like, but you always feel like you're never giving the best of your love to your family. You're not giving the best of your love to your work. You're not giving the best of your love to the things that you like. And that's because we are fragmented from the inside. So each person and each thing gets a little bit of our love, but they don't get the best of our love. Another way you can tell that you're broken or fragmented is that your love is not whole. In other words, um, it's not rightly ordered, and so you're not able to prioritize the things that are important to you, and therefore you just go about your life doing all of these various things, and we end up being drained because all of these various things that we end up doing suck the energy out of us, whether it's our relationships, whether it's our work, even the things that we like, even if it's our hobbies, they suck the life out of us because we are not able to prioritize the very things that actually enable us to be fully human, that enable us to live fully alive. One of the other ways you can tell that you're fragmented is that you have many faces. And this is one of the things that really drains our energy. So we are one way with our family members, we are another way with our colleagues at work, we are another way with our friends. If you're a religious person, you put on your religious mask and you go to church and you know you look great and everyone thinks you're a wonderful person. But then when you're with your friends, you act differently. And so somehow, because of our brokenness, we also have many faces and we are fragmented in terms of our personalities as well. I mean, I was like that quite often in my young adult days, in my 20 somethings. I would love to put on these different faces just to impress people, just to make people like me, just to feel accepted, just to feel significant. But because of our brokenness, there is a bit of a self alienation. So, in other words, you don't really know who you are. You're disconnected from your true self. You don't know the person whom God created you to be. In other words, you may like this or not, but in other words, we are hypocrites. Even though we don't intentionally set out to be hypocrites, we end up being hypocrites. We often hear about people talking about the difference between your private self and your public self. But that in itself tells you that you are broken, you're fragmented, because there shouldn't be a public self and a private self. It should be you as you are, wherever you are, whether you're spending time on your own, whether you're with family members or colleagues, whether you're out there in the world. And so that is partly what it means to be broken. In the next podcast, we'll spend more time on the other half of what it means to be broken. So I hope we're beginning to get an idea of what it means to be broken. And so on the journey to wholeness, what happens is you end up having one face. So in other words, you don't spend so much energy trying to be different things to different people. You're actually just who you are, because you have integrity, because you've been made one. And so it means that you are trustworthy. It means that you are down to earth. It means that you don't have to put up a face. One of my favorite artists of all time is Elvis Presley. And one of his interviews, they asked him, isn't it really difficult to kind of be Elvis, because you're the most popular singer, artist in the world, as he was back then in the 70s. And it was his reply that really astounded me. He said, this persona that I have to put on, being Elvis in front of the whole world, it's hard work, because you always have to look a certain way, you always have to dress a certain way. People identify with you through that persona. But he said, behind the scenes, I'm someone completely different. And what Elvis said really stuck with me, because I think most of us live our lives like that. We live our lives based on how we want people to perceive us. We're not really our authentic selves. And so we really, really struggle. And that's where integrity comes, because integrity comes from the word integer, which really means you are one whole. My wife and I had a couple stay with us in our home a couple of years ago. We were journeying with them through some of the challenges they had in their marriage. And so they stay with us for 10 days. And at the end of that 10 days, we were just debriefing on that experience. And one of the things that the wife said to us was, she said, I'm just so surprised that you are the same in your home as you are in the church. And I was quite taken aback because I thought, why would I be different? But then I realized that I've been on this journey from brokenness to wholeness, and so I'm hoping that what you see is what you get. Um, One of the things about being broken as well is that you are compartmentalized and fragmented within yourself, and so we tend to categorize lives in different boxes. You know, here's my entertainment box, here's my family box, here's my work box, and we often feel that the different boxes or different compartments are not connected. And so the journey towards wholeness literally means that we actually begin to understand that what I do in one area of my life affects another area of my life. So for example, I love to exercise every morning for about 20 minutes. It gets quite intense. I do work out quite a sweat, and some of those are hard because I do a lot of strength training. So I use dumbbells to work on my abs and my core and my biceps and everything like that. But it's hard, and when it burns, boy, I tell you, it burns. It's painful. But because I want to complete the exercise, like I push through it. You know, I push through the pain. I try my best to be able to be resilient in that moment so that I'm able to finish the exercise. But inadvertently, this has actually helped me to be resilient in other areas of life when times are tough, when people are difficult. Because in my vocation as a pastor, I have to journey with a lot of difficult people, and when times are tough, when you don't have the income that you need, being resilient in one area of my life, for example, in my exercise and my training, has developed the mental structures in my own mind to be resilient in other areas of my life. So basically, that's one of the symptoms of being broken, is that we don't actually realize that what we do in one area of our life actually affects every other area of our lives. And so when you become whole, you realize that the connections between the different areas of our lives. And so even as we kicked off today's podcast, I hope you're beginning to get a glimpse, get of an understanding that all of us are in some way broken, because all of us are fragmented in some way, and that robs us from our humanity. That robs us from being the human beings that our Creator has created us to be. So my hope over the next several months and several years, hopefully, is that we'll be able to have these kind of conversations around what it means to truly be a human being, what it means to be created in the image and likeness of our Creator. Because when we're on that journey and we discover His heart for us, man, we really are able to thrive. We're able to live fully alive. I just want to end off by saying that, you know, I am a pastor, and so there is a potentially a Christian bias to this, but my heart, my desire is for all people, not just the people who are in the church or the people who call themselves Christians, but the way God has been working in my heart is He's been teaching me to love everyone, because you are a human being just as I am, irrespective of your religious affiliations. And so I'm hoping that as we have these conversations around what it means to be human, as we delve into philosophy and psychology and neuroscience and nutritional science and physiology and theology as well, that you'll start to get the picture. You'll start to understand what you have been missing out for a big part of your life. You know, we live in hard times, and we can blame the economy, we can blame the bad government, we can blame the crime and everything around us, but we only have ourselves to blame if the quality of our life is diminished. I believe that God has created us to live fully alive. One of the scriptures that I hold on to dearly is what Jesus says in John 10:10. He says, I have come to give you life, and life to the full, an abundant life. In fact, another translation says that I have come to give you a rich and satisfying life. And this is the life I'm beginning to experience as I've been on that journey from brokenness to wholeness, and it's a life that I desire for you as well. I'll see you guys next time as we carry on this conversation, but I hope for today at least you've got a bit of a glimpse of what it means to be broken, and what it actually takes to walk on that journey to wholeness. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers.